started. Okay. So one thing about authentication that we really need to think about now is that we really need to care about some sets of functionalities in our authentication, basically. So authentication basically refers to how users can log in into the application. How can they create their accounts? How are they forgetting their accounts? How are they doing a bunch of stuff regarding that particular functionality on your account, on your platform is what we care about authentication. And when you're thinking about authentication now, you really need to start with one thing in mind. Let's start from how you may think about it in a very natural step. The first step is that we have a user. So we need to answer the question, who is a user? If someone wants to be a user on your platform, what kind of information are they required to submit? Okay. And I told you guys that whenever you need to answer that kind of question, you just come here to your models and then you will have to create a model schema for that. So let's create one here that says, we may just call it auth.js. Okay. So that's what we want to do. So in the auth.js file, you want to import mongoose, right? Because that's our ORM for the listing. So you may just say const user schema is equals to remember your constructor. Basically, let me see the previous one we did. So you can see our jobs had this particular syntax going on for it. So let's do the same thing here for the schema, for the user schema. So you say new mongoose dot schema and open it and create the options for it. So what you want to do after creating the schema is to actually create the model. Okay. So somebody wants to join. Can you guys still hear me?
Sir.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So let's go on to all right. So let me see. All right, so this is where I stop. So you want to create your schema and then you want to export it as well. So you want to create the model itself. So let's call it user, and I will say mongoose.model. And then mongoose, the model is expecting two things basically. It's expecting a name for it. So let's call it the users. And let's call it the schema that we are plugging into it, which is the user schema. Okay. So we want to export default the user model so that we can use it everywhere else. And exactly that's how the jobs model was done. Hold on, let me switch to the different Wi-Fi. Can you guys hear me now? I had to move to a different Wi-Fi because this one's starting to malfunction. Are you guys still with me?
Yeah, yes, sir.
All right, good.
Okay.
So what you want to do is what you want to do is that you want to create the information that you want for your user schemas. So let's assume, okay, for example, now we want users to be able to provide, say, their first name, their last name, what exactly again? Maybe their email address, their password, what else? You guys can give me any of these things, like a gender. What else? What else? What else? You guys can give me any of these things if I'm remembering them all. But let's start
Username.
with okay. Oh, okay, okay. That's a good one. A username as well. All right, so let's have all of these things in our application. So what you want to do is that let's take with the first one. So we have a first name. Let's see, that's the first one we have. So you create the different rules that you want to have for it. So the type of the first name is that it should be a string. Required is true. So you want it to be required. There's no way, like, so that every time you have an application, they definitely must provide your this thing. So one thing you may not have seen before is this min length. So the minimum length that you must have in your this thing. Okay, I think I showed it here for like for company, but maybe you want to put a minimum length as well, maybe like 3. What am I doing? Okay, 3. Then maybe a max length as well, just so you don't have very crazy thing. I don't know. These rules are not there, so just for you to just keep on trying the syntax as well. Last name as well. Let's put basically the same thing there. So you have all of those things. So string and stuff like that. So we already have that working off for it. Okay. So the username as well. So of course the username should be unique, right? So I think it's everything else, but it should be unique as well. So maybe you don't want to give these rules for the username. Maybe you want your users to go crazy with that. Okay. So unique should be true. Suppose that's it. Okay. So we want everything to be unique about it. And your email address as well. Okay. So each user should have one particular email address. So the type you should have is a string. Okay. Required to be true. Okay. And then unique as well. Of course, you don't want you want user opening multiple accounts on your system. So true as well. Okay. The next thing should probably be password. So you may want a password functionality as well. So what do you want to do for your password? Your type is also as well a string. Okay. So you still want a string. Definitely required to be true. Okay, and okay, maybe you just want the minimum length of password to be 6, basically. All right, so we already have all of that going on for it. So this is who a user is. A user is someone coming to an application, putting all of this information there, their first name, their last name, their username, email, and password. We can definitely update this later, but let's start with working with this first of all. Oh, okay, just so we can make use of a particular feature. If I did not mention it the other one, let's include gender as well. So gender should basically say type is string. Okay, and let's make it to have an enum object. So basically you can only provide male or female as well into your listing. I don't know if I mentioned it while creating for jobs anymore. So that's what we have about that. Okay. So next thing you want to do is to create your controller for your authentication. Let's call it auth.js in the controllers as well. So of course, what are the functionalities you may have? Sign up, that's all. So basically you may want to like register accounts, uh may have log into the accounts. Okay, we may have forget password. We may also have what else? Verify accounts. Let's put all of those things as well. What else? Delete accounts if you're letting that, change password as well. So those are kind of functionalities that you may be thinking from the perspective of authentication. Okay, you may allow so many, you may not even be bothered. You may just be register and log out or whatever in your own accounts in your own application. But I think these are some of the things that are very, very common. And then doing authentication is, whoa, it takes a lot of time. I mentioned it yesterday that it takes a lot of time because you have to be very careful with some of these very sensitive stuff about the accounts. But let's walk you through how we can go from a very simple implementation to a little bit of a crazy implementation. Not crazy anyway. So first thing you want to do is I think you may want to import your user. that we just created, the model we just created there. So let's import it like that. So let's create a functionality and call it some const register accounts. Okay, it should be an express function. Of course, we should know that it should be asynchronous since we'll be dealing with the user database. So an express function is going to take our request, our response, and now next as well, because we want to next the error that whatever we have. So let's create that one. Okay, I think we may be requiring to do something to our register account. So let's export it as well. Since we have so many functions we want to export there, so we cannot use the default export like this. So let's just use the named exports like this. All right. So let's see that we need to put in our try catch block as well. Try doing this. If there's any error, catch it. So when we catch an error, all right, so I think we should have a consistent thing that we are doing to our error. What were we doing from yesterday? Okay, no, this is not what I need. This is not what I need as well. So where is it? Okay, so we are logging the error and we are nexting it as well. All right, so let's do that. Let's do that. So let's import the logger. So we need to import the logger that we've defined from yesterday using Winston. So you want to say logger dot error. So that's the error. And then you want to next this as well. All right. So next is so that it can basically just move on to the next thing so that when there's an error, you don't want your response to just keep on loading and loading from there. So let's go on from here. So I always do this logger.info, which is stats, stats, okay, register account service basically. So I get to know that, oh, this particular endpoint is what is being called at this point. So for a user to be able to register their accounts, they will have to give in a form from all these things, right? So their first name, the last name, the username, their email and password and gender are all going to be provided here. So you want to, and they will all be in the rec.body. So you want to destructure your rec.body to collect all of this information. So rec.body. Okay. So what are the things we said? We are going to collect first name, last name, what else? Username, email, username. What are the things we also called again? Okay, password and gender. Password and gender as well. They are coming to your rec.body. Okay. So what you want to do is that, okay, what you just want to do is just to register your accounts with that. So we care about just create an account like that. Maybe you want to say, okay, if there is another user that already had an account with the email or the username, basically. I mean, they would basically throw up errors anyway if you try saving new accounts with the same email or with the same username, because you've specified that the model should have those two things to be unique. So it will not even try putting it there. Well, I think it's a good idea not to leave everything to when you want to get when things are getting to your database. You want to throw error as soon as possible without wasting so much time processing them. So what you want to do is okay, try and see if the email already exists. So you can say cost existing user is anything relating to your model should be asynchronous. So use the await word, await user dot find one, and then passing that, oh, the email is just passing the email like that. Okay, so you now say, okay, if existing user, if we do have an existing user, all right, well, of course we should not let anything go proceed from there. You may just say logger.info that we are ending that particular stuff. You can just say we are ending the register account service. Okay. Okay, then you want to return the error response. So you have to return the error response. That will definitely import it. Sorry, having the so what you want is expecting the response, the status code. Basically, I think that's a bad request because you are trying to create an account with an information that okay. Let's just hold this one as well. I think I've forgotten the particular code that it has. And then the error is that okay, user already exists. Log in instead. All right. So that's the thing now. So we have the if existing user, then we code that. So we cut that from there. So then you can go ahead with trying to creating your account in the database and say something like okay, once new user equals let's say let's try and say await user dot create. So you may be checking things that we've already done with the database already, which is here. So when you want to create a new job, if you can see here, that is it. Create is there. So let's apply something. So to create anything in your database, of course, you can just use the create keyword. So what that information we are giving it, the first name, the last name, the email, the username, password, and the gender. So once we are done creating this thing, we may just say, okay, you know what? We are done doing any of that. What else should we do after that? We should just say, okay, rest. No, okay, tell the logger that you should say, okay, end uh register account service. This is becoming annoying to type, but it's part of my flow anyway. To register account service and say success response because things have worked very well here. So your response is plugged in there. Your status code is status code dot created because you created something, and then the message is successfully created account. Okay, and then you want to like basically like show information pertaining to the new user. All right, as your response. All right, so let's handle some stuff like that. Okay. Oh, Postman was not already launched. So give it a second there. So basically that's the idea there about your creating a new user. So instead of all right, so while we are waiting for Postman, let me even plug in to where the what's it called? The route should work. So come to routes, create a new file as well. Okay. Because I think I momentarily someone about to say something. Okay. So you can just create an auth.js from there. What are we needing? I think we need to import the router from Express. Okay. We need to import the register accounts functionality that we just created there. All right. So you create your router. You can just say const what's it called? Auth router equals to the router, set it to a variable, and then we say something like, okay, router, no, auth router dot hosts. Okay. So at this particular endpoint here, we'll be saying register, right? Use the what register accounts functionality, the controller you did. So remember, how did we plug in for jobs? We did about the same thing here. Okay. So okay, I have not even exported the ultra class. So come here, export defaults auth router. Okay, that's the thing we need to export. Okay, so when we come here to app.js, remember that we saw this was the setup we did for the jobs. So you want to say, okay, app.use. So maybe it says auth. Now I want to say auth router, and that has been imported there as well. All right, so I think everything has been plugged in well. So your full path is going to say domain. So wherever your thing is, then auth, then what's it called? The register accounts. That's what I just did here. So that's what slash register. That's what that particular endpoint should look like. So let's try it now. Okay, so from the terminal, you say npm run dev, as we've been doing so far. and then let's come here as well. Okay, so we create a new request here and say something like create an account. Okay, we want to change this to a post request, and you want to put your this thing here, so you may put it as register. Okay, so in your body, change this to raw, and then let's go on. So let's put some things there now. So I think first name, how does this go again? First name, okay, first name, let's say Samuel, last name, should say Ajayi, email, okay, so you can say Samuel Ajayi at gmail.com. What else? Okay, we said the username, right? So the username is Samuel very cool Sam. Okay, what else? Password. Okay. I eat I love rice. Okay, what else? What are the other things we say we want to give basically? What else? Okay, yeah, and the gender. So Samuel is a boy, so we can say gender. Okay, it's a boy, so we'll write male. All right, so those are the things we have. Something is wrong. Our server did not start. Okay. Very annoying thing. Very annoying error. Done. So those things should take .js. So I keep forgetting to do that. Right. So in this, so most of the time I work with in TypeScript, and then you don't have to everything. Okay, I think everything should work fine now. Restart. What again? Cannot find module on. So where am I importing these spots? Controllers. Or those controllers. So where am I? Oh, sorry. So .js. Okay. So that's an annoying thing to have. I don't even remember I used to have any of these buttons. So let's see if it will start. Okay, I think it should. All right, so we are good to go now. All right, so let's try creating an account now. Okay, cannot post register. Okay, we are getting a 404 dots found. Okay, so okay. Yeah, that's true. Our this thing does not say slash register, it says slash auth slash register. That's a very good one. All right, so we still have a this thing. It says username is required. Okay, so one of the reasons why this thing is still coming in an ugly way here is because we have not still properly formatted our error handler here. So while it tried to do something, an error occurred, and that error is not yet even gracefully handled with our error handler. So I think, I mean, I can't be bothered to handle that yet. I can still see things going on anyway. So let me try to say, it says username is required. Okay, so we might have called something with, okay, username doesn't have a capital N. So while we were doing it here, so this could happen, say, for example, your front-end engineer now is trying to create a field. Maybe he made a typographical, I mean, an error there by putting your capital N there into your API. And that is not what your API was expecting. As for the database itself, MongoDB, it will very much actually it will very much allow this username to be an entry in the database if it could find its way to be in the database anyway. In our controller, anything that passed through from here, basically here now, is collected from here. Is if you're not handling any pre-processing stuff here, it will find its way into the database. So let me change all of this to small n. Let me see, small n, small n as well. I hope that is all we have done that. All right, so okay, it will restart as well. All right, so very cool, Sam. Okay, so let's try and create it now. I think the account should be successfully created. All right, so now we've created an account. So that's how to create the account there. So you can see we have our information about Samuel Ajayi, who is also our very cool Sam as the email. So if you try changing something, or if you try sending the request again now, you will get an error basically coming from the email and the username part of things, because those things are required to be unique. Okay, we want them to be unique. Hold on, let me clear some things here. Okay. All right, so let's continue from here as well. So once we send it, if you send it again, you will get an error. All right, and the error is saying user already exists, log in instead. Now, the reason why this comes in quite nicely here is because we've given the case already. We caught it from here. If we did not catch it, for example, let's say we just allow this to happen, then now we are at the mercy of our error handler that, oh, it should catch the error. Now, error handler is what will determine how the stuff should basically show. You see the difference now? So, and because we've not basically like handled it very, very well yet, so that's why things are still showing up there like this. So let's leave it like that. So maybe before we move on to our full-on project, I will talk about it. But for now, let's care about authentication stuff. So if I send it one more time as well, get the nice one. User already exists. Log in instead. So let's try to log into our account. Well, I think maybe some of you may even want to have an opinion so far on the way our authentication is. What do you think is going on? What else, what is missing, or what do you think is not proper looking yet before I even get to it? Let me just throw it to you guys. Let me hear from. Oh, someone has been waiting since. All right. So please, next time you are waiting at the lobby and I did not. Okay, you can just signify on the group chat. I think you did, but I did not see the message. Okay, sorry. That's Akinwale, right? All right. Sorry, I did not see your message on time. But yeah, the question I asked here was that when we create an account here, something is still wrong in the way we are handling our things here so far. So, and who can basically guess what that thing is? In the way we are doing our login, our this thing, it's okay. The hint is that it has to do with security.
The Are you hear me?
I can hear you.
I can say that the password is still like once the user creates the password, if you're like the admin, you'll be able to like see the password of the user or something.
Yes, basically, that is very correct. That's the answer I was looking for. So anytime anybody who has access to the database will be able to see the password, whoever the password of anybody that created the accounts, because we are basically storing it just as it is given. So anybody has their own form, you want to give this thing and then just store it as a plain string in the database. So that is a bad security measure. We don't do that. There's always something we do to passwords before we get them, before we store it in the database, basically. Right? So let's let me see. Let me show you guys from the database. I should have loaded these pages before we started. Yes, it's fine. All right, so this is what we created. Okay, the users thing now shows. All right, as you can see, I love rice is showing to me, me that I owned the database. So we have to do something about it. But before we do something about it, let's think about how the user basically logs in as well. So we've implemented the register account, which we will update shortly. But let's think about the what's it called? The registering logging in the account. So we do the same thing. Export const login accounts equals to a synchronous function of reg, res, and next. Okay, so what do we do? Do that. So put our try catch block. We're catching whatever happens from there. So why is this still okay? Logger dot error, whatever happened there, and then we next the error. That's so. What do we do from there? Okay, my usual stuff. Logger dot info. Sorry, not stats. Okay, login account service. All right, so if you check your terminal, actually, you will see those things being written there. This is it in green. By the next class, I'll show you how to change it to a better color. I almost always use blue in my stuff. So that is it. So they start to login service. So login as well is going to be about collecting a form, entries from a form. Well, say you want your user to only put the username and password. So you can just say, okay, for login, we care about the username and their password to be in the reg.body. If you want to say that. So say, just for example, you have a very lazy front-end engineer now. If the username or password is not given, say if for example, you can just say, okay, return error response saying that just rest status code or what's it called? This is a bad request anyway because you're supposed to pass it. So you can just say mixing required or parameters. Say your, for example, your whoever was going to make use of the API was not properly ensuring that this is coming is actually caught is properly checked from their own end before it is sent to the back end. So you may just want to also put that down there as well for yourself. So as well, so what you want to do from here is that you want to basically check that that user is inside the is this thing. So what you want to do is that you want to say, okay, const let's say user is equals to our weight dot find one. You want to find a user that has the username and I suppose it's password. Let me see if I remember this well, basically, because I've changed it. I'll find the username. Oh, sorry. User dot find one username and the password. So I suppose that is it. So if we don't have that user, we can say return error response. Say the response status codes dot bad request and say something like incorrect username or password and say when we are done, if we are successfully getting, if we get to this part successfully, then we say something like success response press status codes dot okay successfully logged in. We want to say something like basically. So what I want to do is okay, let's create a new this thing then. So we are sending a post request. All right, so before we do that as well, we need to put it in the routes this thing as well. So auth router dot post as well. Let's just say login, say login accounts. Yeah, yeah, properly this thing. I think something is wrong though, but yeah. So that's the endpoint now. So which is login. And then as well in the body, raw. So you want to have a username. What was our username? Very cool Sam. And the password was I think it was I love rice. All right, so that's it. Thank you very much, man. Okay, so let's try sending it as well. Oh yeah. So in this case, it's worked because say the combination of these two things here, basically, where is it? Let me close down some things here. So we are not dealing with the jobs here. Is that it's going to find the user in which these two particular things matched, right? So it found the username and then the password. Those two things are correct. So if any of these two things is wrong, it will not find the user basically. So let's say, for example, here, send. So there's either incorrect username or password. Okay, so password because such that combination of two things wasn't valid in our database there. So you could just say if we remove this as well, that is not also did not work. So that's way is how your your account stuff is done. Okay. So we've been able to what's it called? To let me rename it as login out. All right. So a couple of things I want to show you guys now is that let's start with our JWT stuff. So as someone rightly mentioned there, or as everybody probably knew already, it's not proper for you to put your password and for the password to find its way into the database without some additional processing being done. You cannot store your raw password that the user is given. That's very bad. You don't do that. So what you want to do is that you want to start finding a way to store a hash or a hash of it. And any of all those things is when we start to deal with our JSON web token stuff. So let's start to do any of that. So first of all, you want to do something like this. You want to create a maybe like a little bit like a functionality first of all. Let's go to utils that we should create this kind of like a secure password thing here. So we want to come here and let's create a utility. Let's say we are creating every utility relating to the authentication there. So in order for you to do so, I think you will need a package called bcrypt. If I remember that very well, that's what we need from there. So you want to install bcrypt like that. So let's see from there. So npm install bcrypt js. So that should install the necessary package. So I think you need to note it down. So when we import it anyway, you will see it. So what you want to do is let's say we create a functionality that say export, because of course we need the functionality somewhere else. Export const generate secure password. Okay, so what you want to do is that when they put the password that they put now there, you want to return a hash of it basically. So that's that from there. So these are the two things you need from bcrypt anyway. So in order to create a secure password now, you need a salt. Think of it as a random seed, this thing now, and that's what they call it now. It's just like don't worry, I'll link you to whatever is proper for you to read on it now. You need a salt and the functionality to actually like to hash password based on that salt. You see what is going on there. I don't think I am very good at explaining that, so let me not bother as well. So all you need to do is to import what's it called? You want to generate salt. Yeah, we have two ways to do it: to asynchronously do it or to synchronously do it. Let's just say pick the synchronous one, and then also to create the hash sync as well. Okay. Oh no, hash sync. Yep, that's it. So what you want to do is that you want to create your salt. I say const salt is equals to generate hash generate salt sync. Let's put any value there. It's requiring a number. So that's let's just put 10, just like you said, defaults to 10 if omitted. Uh okay, then what we want to return is a hash value, a hash sync of your of the sorts, but it requires the string that you are passing in. So let's put the value, then the source, let's say the source is or that source that we just created. So I think I'm very far. I think I just like putting value here because I've always just been doing different. I use it for different hash that I use. So you can just call this one password, of course, something like that. So when you come back here to your this thing now, you want to import what we just created. You want to import your generate secure password. Okay. So everything is generated from there. So where you see this your password now. So the password in the database should be the one where you've corrected a secure password of. So generate secure password of the existing password there. So the password that is coming from here, once the hash of it has been generated, we have it from here. So let's try and repeat what we just did now. So say, for example, let's delete who Samuel Ajayi is now. So let's delete it from our database. So that we can just run that exact same request here, which is here, create an account. Okay. So once you send this information out. Oh, sorry. We did not start our server. npm run dev. npm run dev. So let's come back here. Okay. We have an error. The requested JS this thing named export gen salt sync not found. The requested module is okay, which may not support all module.export as named export. Common JS modules can always be imported via the okay. So it wants us to do this. Okay, so I've never gotten that error before. So let me just see if we can where is it, the utilities for it. So mostly okay, so let's see if that works. Fine. Okay, I'm just comment it out as well. Let's see if everything works again. All right, so that's it basically. So once you send the request from there, okay, it works now, and as you can see, the password is now a hash of it. So I love Rice is no longer finding its way to our database. Okay. And also something is also quite very wrong as well. See, each time you send a request now, a response is being sent back to the client. So again, one thing I want you guys to think of is that now that we are creating our accounts now, and then the server is collecting and doing the processing of the hash, why are we sending it back to the server that this is information collected? We may need some information to be sent back. Basically, let's say you are creating a list now. You want, okay, as something is maybe like you have like maybe a bunch of items on the screen. Once you put a new one, once you create a new one, you want that page to basically automatically refresh, showing the latest one you created, basically. Maybe you want something like that. Maybe there are some things about this your user that you basically want to even send back to the client. Maybe just maybe on the successful creation of an account. Maybe you just need something like that to be done. But what I'm trying to say is that it is not every information that is getting to the database that we should send back. It's a very good idea that we only send back as few things as required, because this is everything our database is having on Samuel Ajayi, and we're basically sending it back. We're not like encapsulating some information away. And that's something I want you guys to put in mind for the nearest future, because we'll be removing stuff like that. I'll teach you how to remove some information like that from your application, because as this we have this continue user from there, everything is there on the database is what is basically coming back here. That's what we are sending it as well. So you want to have something like that in mind. So the other thing is that if you try to log in with I love rice anyway here, what is the listing now? I don't know if I'm confusing you, but this is what we have. So if you try to log in with I love rice here, the thing is going to return an incorrect username or password, despite it being the correct password. And the reason is because we did not restore the hash here, because the username here is finding its way as the exact same username here. That's what they are trying to get it there. So what you want to do is that you want to use, like, you want to have a functionality of saying what is it called, that the password, like the hashed password, you want to have a way of comparing hashed password. So that's what you are going to do here. So I think the functionality for it is compare sync. Compare sync is the thing. So what you want to do is you want to be able to compare the hash of your this thing. So you want to do is like maybe you want to create like why is this thing not working? Okay, so here we go. So I want to say export const check validity of a password. So what you want to do is you want to have let me see if I remember how this is done again. So you want to have your value and your other value. Let me see. I think I'm missing out some things here. And then you want to say you are returning the compare sync, which will return a boolean if the two of them is true. It compares your distance to the string, that basically like that. That's how that one works. So you want to have your value and then other value as well. So it will return true if both of them are correct. So think instead of calling it this thing a other value, should have called it maybe like a hash or something. But yeah, I guess that's fine. So what you want to do next is that you want to come back to your controller code, and then what's it called again? So you want to use your check validity. Let me see. I think I'm starting to. It's been a while checking this thing. Okay. So that's it now. So that's how we make use of it now. So I am also going to make some updates to the way I want this is done, basically. So first of all, I'm not looking for an this way where username and password and then compare if this is there, basically. First of all, this is what I want to do now. I want to first of all check if that account even exists. First of all, const user is equals to our weight user dot find one, basically find if the username exists, basically. So if we don't find any user, so if we don't find any user there, basically say that, so return your error response straight away and tell it that the response okay, that's why this one is giving me error there. So the response status codes dot 404 it's not found, basically. You may want to say, okay, not found, and say something like this account does not exist. Maybe please sign up instead. But basically, also you are given some information about the database here, which you may not want to let go of. Maybe someone wants to, I mean, I don't know. Basically, you are giving off some information about what exists and what doesn't exist. So this may not be the wisest option to think of, but let's just flow with it now. I don't think we need to use this if not user there again. So let's just pick off there. Okay. So then this is what you want to do. We've found a user that belongs to that username. So that username now they have their own password. And how do we get that attribute from there? You remember that every user has a password, which is here, like inside the listing. So once a valid user, we know a valid user, it has a user.password there. Okay. So what you want to do is that you want to check validity. So check validity. Now, if validity of the password that was passed in from the rec.body and the existing password that the user gave you now. Okay. So if that's sorry, user.password basically, if that password is not, if it is not valid to each other now, what do you want to do? You want to return an error. You want to stop the user from proceeding. We just say return error response on res status codes dot let's see bad requests. So basically because they're doing something that's illegal, then you want to say something like you have entered a wrong username or password. Basically, you kind of don't want to really tell them what actually went wrong. Um, think security like that. Basically, don't want to give them enough of things that are going on. So once you've gotten enough of that now, once it's able to find its way over here, then like okay, they actually wrote the right response from there. You want to actually just like okay, you know what? They've passed all the checks. Then basically they can log in. So that's logging in basically just involves sending some information to the client. And what information are we sending? The user. So the check that they just need to check here is if they passed the right password. So maybe that let me just put that down. So check if password matches with stored password in database. So that's what you want to have from there, basically. So let's test it if it works. All right. So these are login. And let's say you said I love rice. Let's see now. Check validity is not defined. Okay, something is wrong. I could swear we defined it there. So where is it? Where's our utilities? Export const, check validity. Okay, so what happened from there? Okay, see, it's basically behaved as if okay. So we did not import it first of all. I thought it imported. Imports, check validity. So okay, I think now that we have it, yeah, now everything works fine. All right. So yeah, so you can see that we've been able to log in Ajayi into our database like that. All right. So that is one of those things about your logging in and out. So that's the authentication side of things. And we've not even talked about your JWTs. So basically, one of the features of your REST. Hello, I hope everybody's with me and they've been following so far. I know it is, like I said, it's probably going to be a lot as well. So let me hear from you. Let's take a little bit of 1 second away from the code and let's talk. Let's chat a little bit. What do we think so far?
Mm,
I'm with you.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'm with you also.
All right. So one thing I want to also tell you is that according to what we are doing now, like this REST principle, let's call back to our REST specification now. You can mute again now. So there are some principles that REST lies on, and this is one I really want to talk about it here. It says statelessness here. Each request must I think somebody is not muted. Okay. I keep hearing this static noise. Sorry. Is that my personal chat? Yeah, you can escape from here. All right. I keep forgetting this entire thing is recorded. So Statelessness, we say each request must include all the information needed to process it, and the server should not contain any client session information between requests. All right, so this is one of the information that REST relies upon. So basically, the request must contain everything it must have to process it. When you're sending anything now, basically now, it must have everything that needs to work to create your account. Or let's think about it now. Let's say we want to update our jobs functionality. That's okay. To create a job now, for example, now, first of all, you must be logged in into your own account. And then when you're logged in into your own account, you put your own, like the jobs that you want to basically create there. Maybe those are the jobs that you wish to apply for. And then you are just keeping like just like as a holder. Oh, maybe like time for application, or these are the things like you are aiming for in the future, basically. So, but you want those things now, you want to have a way that, oh, you know what? Basically, that particular information now, that's company information, that's information now. When you send this request to your create request now, this your create job, the information about the logged in user must be embedded into the request. Now, when a user is logged in now, that information must be embedded into the request so that when it gets to the server is able to look at the request. Oh, this is particular person that is logged in. Fine. This is the information they want me to process. Fine. And that is it. The fact that you are logged in is something that is embedded into the request. It's not as if like your this thing actually flows that is always checking if you are logged in at every time. I don't know if I'm making a complete sense of this thing now. It does not, one request does not, each request must have your logged in um your logged in status per se, your information for your profile and everything, that at least the server needs to be able to recognize that you are a valid user and you are actually logged in the, like you are a valid user in the database and you have permission to do whatever you want to do. It must be inside that request that you are sending. Each request must be kind of independent in that particular sense of thing now. So, I mean, this is not even client server dependency, the independency that we're saying. So each request must not have to like send another request to go and check that, oh, somebody is logged in as well. So in order for all of that to be achieved is what we have something called a functionality called JSON Web Tokens. So it is a JSON object that securely transmits information between parties over a network, blah, blah, blah. There are some technical information that are there for. But what we want to use it for is that we want to kind of encrypt some information into a token. Basically, we are going to pass a token that our server is going to look into and check that, oh, once this token is there, it recognizes that our user, whoever is sending that request, is a valid user that is logged in our application. That's what we are thinking of that. So when you are not logged in, you don't have that token. And different applications have different things they allow their users to do. Say, for example, I may have a service that allows you to check around my functionalities if you are not logged in. But basically, to carry out any action on those functionalities, you may need to be logged in. So in order for that thing to know that, oh, this particular person is not logged in into my application, it is by checking for that JWT token. Am I making a little bit of sense, even if I'm not explaining it very well?
Yes, sir, you are.
All right. So what you want to do from there is that you want to install a package called JSON Web Tokens. I hope that is correct. Let me see. Or is it? Does it have an S? Basically, it throws an error. So let me check again. Also, JSON, I think maybe it doesn't have an M, npm. So that should be it. Okay, yeah, it doesn't have an S. So npm install JSON web token. All right, here we go. So what you want to do now is that you want to have let me see. Hold on a second. So you want to create a functionality. Say, let's still call back to our utils now, the express one now that we have. So we want to create we want to import some things from the JSON web token. You want to have it to sign and to create a payload. I don't know how many of us read that thing from there that time. So we want to import three things. We want to import um verify, sign, and a JWT payload from JSON web token. Basically, let me even open that documentation. Let me see some things here. So we install it like that, and then okay, JWT.sign, basically. That's what you have, and then we have some different things that here. So this is how we sign a token and then some stuff like that. Let me see. So I'm working under the assumption that we read the stuff that I created. I asked you to read basically. So that's what you want to do. So first of all, now we want to create a token. So we will say create export const create what that token will be. So let's say maybe like we are creating an access token. So create access token. Okay. So what you want to do is that you still want to just pass some information about it. Oh wow. Uh, shouldn't have mixed these two classes together. All right, so this is it now. So, okay, I'm annotating again here. That's some things I'm used to. So we are creating an access token. So this ID is a parameter that will pass to it. I'll talk about it shortly now. So the idea is that we are going to make use of our middleware to be doing our JWT stuff. And I'm going to come to it now. But let me see. Let's try and create what this stuff is going to look like. So when you have a token now, basically we can create a token and sign it onto this thing there. So it says this signed functionality is what we're saying there. So I really hope you read those things now. It requires three things basically: the payload, the secret or private key, and some options. So that's the functionality we want to do. We want to like it returns the JWT token as a string. That's what we want to have when we use the synchronous form. When we use the asynchronous now like this, you can have like it will return a, what's it called? A promise, basically. So let me see if I have many things like that. But basically, your payload is the object that we want to sign. Basically, that's your ID. That thing you want to verify, you want to basically use is your payload. And I think everybody should this thing here. So we are using that function now, sign. And what are we signing now? It requires the payload. And what the payload is the ID, basically now. And basically we want to structure it as say ID. So the next thing it wants to have is like a secret key, a secret or private key. And that secret key is like a more like a key, like a let me see now. We check here now. I think I did generates a random key I want to have for it now. So I think I used one of these ones. I can't even remember. I think I made it over the weekend. So you may want to choose a 256-bit key for this stuff like that thing. So I think I used one of these websites. I remember that one. So okay. All right, something like this. This is what, so you may just copy something like that. No, this is the one I used. Yes, something like this here. So you may want to have it and then you put it in your .env file. and name it your JWT secrets. That's the one I have here. So that's your key that you're going to have anyway. So what you want to do is that you want to return back to your configuration file because everything we did now to call our JWT, remember, okay. Let's just do it here. Don't worry. Let's do it here again now. So we want to do your importing your, I think we can remove this now. Remove this now. Okay, let me put this through inside function. So see what you're doing there. So as well, by the time I merge this into the main listing, I'll delete some comments from the listing there as well. What was I about to say? All right, so we need to find a way to remove our JWT secrets now into our application. So we say const JWT secrets is equals to process dot env dot jwt underscore secret was what I called it. So that's that. So JWT secrets. This is it here. Okay. So what you also want to do is you want to remember that if you don't put your .env config in that particular file that you have your this thing now, if you don't put it there, it will not print this thing. So let's say, for example, I just say, okay, just to be sure, say console.log jwt secrets, and I run this just this from this particular file one off. I think it will return undefined. Some things are just not it's not properly working here. It's saying it's all the way from the application. I just want this file. Okay, you know what? Just regardless, if I print it all the way like this now, it will return undefined because it's not seeing it properly here. So what you want to do is that you want to put that your your config this thing now. You import your, I think we call it .env config. Yeah, config.env, then you call the function there. So config.env over there. I think that's it there. All right. So I think hopefully our JWT secret is properly seen there. So let's go back to our token function that we are creating now. So you want to put your JWT secrets there. Okay. So it's expecting some options there as well. Let's just not care about it for now. Those options, we will come back to it now. So let's just put those two things that it requires. It requires the information that you want to encode, the payload, basically. That's what the is what we are doing here. And then the key that we are using to encode it as well. So what you want to do there is that you want to return the token that has been created. So that's what you have from there. So you return the token there. So what you want to do is that you want to basically anytime a user is say is logged in, basically you want to create an access token for them as well. So let me see if we can do this now. In your controller, let's see when a new user is created now. So I just want to do something here. Let me see if this will work. Const access token is equal to, let me import the function now. Import, okay, I think it's already the check validity is there, so I can just put it there. Create access token as well. So let's say create access token based on the new user dot underscore ID. So the ID that the user is like attached, that the MongoDB is putting to our new user is what we're using to create the access token, basically. So I want to send it as part of the new user. So let me do something like this now. Let me return this because it requires, if you remember our success response, the response, the code, the message, and the data. So the data, let's put it into a proper like a JSON string now. You can just call it like object rather. Say user is new user, and then what else? You can just say token is the access token that we just created. So access token. Okay. Hopefully everything works properly there. I'm trying it in a way I have not even done before. So that's the difference between when you're doing things for yourself and when you're teaching someone. Okay, it says JWT payload from this thing not found. Oh, the same thing we have there. All right, that's just perfect. Where are we? Where is it? It's in the utils file as well. So okay, we are not even using this stuff. So we said import package from. So if we do the same import package thing, once we have some issues. I said I've not basically seen any of this thing from here, from this thing from before. It's basically because I mostly work with TypeScript. Yeah, and I've not been using this your require stuff. If you use the require stuff, we won't have the issue from there. I have an issue from this though. Let me say, if I say import package from JSON Web Token, you're basically saying the same thing. Yeah, hold on. JSON Web Token.
Hello, is anyone here? I've stopped hearing voices for a while now.
Yeah, he said that his data finished, so his sorry, his Wi-Fi went off, so he wants to get data so he can join back.
Am I back? I think I am. Okay, okay. Oh, so sorry, my router died. I knew it wouldn't last till 6 because it has been blinking the red since, and even my phone as well. So my other one that I use for hotspot as well. So yeah, I guess we are back. So yeah, where was I? Let me share the screen. Um, I think I will come to. I'm not the way I deal my stuff, and I think will basically I'll show you guys in the what's it called in the this thing. Where was I? Okay, I was about to import this thing. This your sign and verify that we need from your JWT. Basically, let me just create another thing from here. I don't feel very comfortable with that. Let me just call it like helper.js. I can't come up with a quick name. Or let me just rename it as your JWT. Okay, JWT stuff. All right, so what do we have from there? Okay, so I think any of this is what is relating to that. So I don't feel very comfortable with what it is asking me to do. All right. Yeah, for some reason the data I got did not get automatically the same. Don't know what MTN is up to nowadays. All right, so let me just try and at least see if the token can continue, can at least show up. Can you guys hear me fine? Please talk, because I think I'm having this my connection issues. It's starting to be
Yeah.
all right,
Yes, I
thank
can
you.
hear
All right. So what I was trying to do is that so let me explain what is actually going on and why we keep on having this, or why I could not have this thing. So the thing is that when it comes to JavaScript, I don't know if this is a good place to explain it well. So my day-to-day work, I write in TypeScript. I've probably said it many times, or you've seen me do one or two things that relate to that. So I basically write in TypeScript basically when I'm doing my imports and exports. Everything works much more in a sinner way there. Maybe because there are some configuration things that I've set up. So I'm basically used to things like that. So while trying to take this class, I did not use this require way of importing stuff. We use the is it common JS. I keep forgetting the import and export stuff. So the reason why those things keep breaking is because some of the packages still require doing this require of a thing. Meanwhile, what we have been doing is imports and exports. And I'm doing that because I'm so used to it, basically. So that's what we keep on having. That's the issue we're having here. So as a compromise, I'm going to create a new entirely different file, do the same thing, import this PKG as it's recommended. I don't know. I can't even say exactly what is going on there because all I can think is that it's importing the entire thing as a package and then doing it there. So I've not really tested things out yet. I'm basically just interested in seeing how things are working from there. So import package from okay. I think that's what happened basically. Import it as a package and then so what are the things I need? Okay, that should be it basically. I think I'm overthinking it. So I think I only use the sign, okay, from the package. That's what we just did so far. All right, I think that's what we just did. So I think I've been the one overthinking this thing. This is because I'm not familiar with this thingy here. So I hope I have not lost everybody in the confusion of that. No, in programming, there's always a lot and lot of things to learn. So are we good where we are? I think I need a vocal response. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. Please can you like repeat what you just said?
Alright. Now he has moved on to JavaScript and his first class was very underwhelming. Okay. Hectic, disheartening. Who said this?
So I hope the
Um,
overwhelming is not a I hope that's not the review on my class. Because I heard something about underwhelming. That would be an ouch. I hope it's not. Whoever owns that audio can they somehow clarify on that? Uh, hello. Who was that? All right. Yeah. So what was I trying to do here? Okay. So import. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I think where was I trying to export it here? You can't import this create access token from there because it's not existing there. So import create access token from here. All right. So I think from there everything should work fine now. Hopefully, twist fingers. All right. Here we go. Okay, so where was I now? Let's create a new user now, basically. Basically, I think the fastest way for me to do so is to refresh this, delete some All right, so I'm just trying to test what I was doing for how it works. Basically, and I'll end the class there. My this is not as fast as this thing. MTN is not doing very well. All right, so this is what I wanted to do. Let me just delete this here. So let me see if I can return that token from here. So let me create a new user here. So let me see if everything works fine. All right, that's good enough. Yep, that's what I was looking for. All right, so you see this now. This token here is part of the things that we need for getting into our application. We call it an access token. Like it's a token we created that will always be in the header of the request. So you see this header here now, it contains some information about the request that we're having. Remember when I said that for a user, for the application to note that this particular request is having all the permissions that it needs to be able to do to process it, it needs to have the JWT stuff embedded into the header, right? So that is what we have here in this token stuff here. So we are going to create a middleware that I think we'll start that with the next class basically. So we don't overpopulate this, I don't saturate you guys with stuff. So we'll create the middleware and have this thing working for you here. That's what I want to, that's what I will do from here on. Okay. So basically, let me just recap the things we did today. So as to end the class. So first of all, now started working on the controllers for authentication. We defined who a user is. A user has all this property, all this information, the first name, last name, username, email, and password. Okay, so we created those information there. Then we started working on how to register them. We started with a very simple case of just storing the password as a normal string. But then looked into oh, you know what? That's not so okay to do. Let us generate a secure password so that the database does not contain the raw string of the this thing of your password. We hash it. So we did the same thing, and then we use the check validity functionality, which is required depending on bcrypt here. Okay, to compare that the value and the hash basically now the hashed password and the password that is basically given is being valid. So I think that's what I should even name this in as. So this first one is your actual the password that is coming from the rec.body, and then the other one is the hashed password already. The password that is stored in the user base, in the database, is the hashed one. So it's comparing that the password that is coming from the login form and then the one that is stored are compared. So if it is not correct, you basically throw them back. So if you are able to pass through all these errors now, you can basically come back and say, oh, you know what? Yep, you're good to go. Come here, right? And so a good way of saying a user is logged in now, we may decide to just tell them that, oh, successfully logged in and not send anything back. But I still want to show you guys some information yet. So I just want to still hold on to this piece of information that we are returning to the response. So that's what we are doing here. And so we started moving into the JWT stuff. And so we are going to create an access token, which depends on using this sign functionality. You are signing a particular information. That's the payload. That's the information we are using. And we are signing the, what's it called? The ID that is here. So we pass this thing as this ID from the database, like from the user that MongoDB is giving us, we are signing it, we are passing it as a parameter to our create access token function. And so at the function, we basically just we sign on it basically, and then we pass in a secret, that's a key to for the function to depend on. Both of them are required. So there are different options that we may have, and I want us to discuss properly next week. And we're going to create a middleware where everything is going to be handled very neatly so that we don't have to manually do some things there. Okay, so that's what I want us to think about in the next class. But I don't know, I don't think I want the next class to wait up till next week, Thursday, because the class is not going to be on Tuesday anymore. So how do we, what days can we look into for that, for trying to complete the middleware on the authentication? Which
I
day?
think it depends on like the days you are free, so you can just like
Let you
send like
guys
the
know.
yeah, so you can like agree on that's more convenience for us also.
Okay. All right. So I think we should talk about that on the group chat because I don't know about my days yet. So let's discuss that on the group chat. But aside the fact that we had a couple of things break at the end that I could not even have foreseen, I hope we've been able to pick one or two things from there, from this class.
Mm, yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. So what I would do is that I think I'll maintain a little bit of a change log. I think I'll try and do so just now as after we end the call, so that you guys will see what are specifically changed between yesterday and today. So you know what the class is actually, what they actually went about. So that's what I will do now. And I think I'll find a way to move this into the authentication back. So by the time I commit now, we will have those things working on for you. You will see it as a latest update by the time you check the repository there. Okay, so with that being said, thank you for listening. And yeah, I still this is hilarious because somebody was complaining about a class, yeah, and then the person decided not to talk again. I don't know what were they saying. Who was that? Somebody was talking, yeah, when they got muted. Can the person signify? It was a feminine voice. Clinton Bassett, no. So um the person is not on this call basically. Is there? Okay. Yeah, I guess that's fine then, since I can't even uh this thing. So with that being said, yeah, I think that's that for now. I'll write a change log of those things that we did today so that you can go back to the repository and figure yourself out from there. Well, with that being said, good night, enjoy your weekend. And yeah, I think by tomorrow morning, some inactive people would be removed from the platform. Yeah, so I guess that's basically fine and fair enough.